So in the Las Vegas area, the overall vibe of being in Vegas, so the type of energies that are just like there naturally that you're just going to pick up on super easily and are going to influence the course of your day to day and your life, is all about healing, pain, and teaching. Healing and pain kind of like go hand in hand because you can't heal without pain, and you can't without pain you can't heal, so like that's why they kind of like go hand in hand. But like teaching is also a huge thing in like guiding there, right? So the reason for this is, as I mentioned, astrocartography takes your placements, like your planets, and it kind of creates them or translates them into planetary lines. So there's like lines that run basically from north to south, where that energy of the planet is going to be super strong along any city on that line. And Las Vegas happens to be super close to your Chiron DC line. So Chiron is actually not a planet, it's an asteroid, just like Pallas Athena. And Chiron is all about healing. It's about the wounds that we all have natally, and like being able to take those wounds and like turn it into like a healing superpower, because you can't be a teacher and you can't heal without first having gone through some of the things that you're teaching about, right? So
Hmm.
Chiron is all about healing, and teaching, and being like a wise like healer basically. So because it's running on a DC line, your DC line has to do with relates to your seventh house, and the seventh house in astrology, just like that second house is about your income, the 10th house is about your career, the seventh house is about your one-on-one relationships. And these could be romantic or platonic, but also business, so your client one-on-one relationships. And being on a Chiron DC line means that a lot of your one-on-one interactions, whether that's friendships, or like client relationships, are going to be centered around healing and teaching. So you might find that you have a lot of friends who are in the healing arts industry. This doesn't have to be like, doula work specifically, but they could be astrologers, they could be like physical therapists, they could be therapists in general, people who heal through knowledge and touch. So you're going to find that a lot of your relationships are centered around this healing energy. And then even you, if you work in a field where you have one-on-one clients, which I know that you do, your client is kind of also like the family. You still do have very important one-on-one relationships with the person who's giving birth. That relationship is going to be centered around healing, pain, healing, and your client work, if you work in those fields, is going to thrive in any type of client work where you do one-on-one work. So where you do healing. So like this could have been like therapy, or you could have any one-on-one practice that's centered around healing would thrive in Las Vegas. Also, there's something called a Puran, which is where one of your planetary lines somewhere on the globe crosses with another planetary line. And that point which those two planetary lines cross creates a Puran. And the energy of this Puran, like the meeting of these two planets, travel east to west across the global map. So you have a moon Chiron Puran in Las Vegas, meaning that energy of the moon, that maternal, lunar, family oriented, mother child, parent child, healing, nurturing energy is crossing with Chiron. I just talked about Chiron earlier. So again, it's like healing through nurturing, healing through parenting, healing the family dynamic, teaching about the family, helping families work through pain. So that's another huge thing in Vegas. And then like in a more like a little lighter note, you also have a lot of Jupiter Sun Purans. And so Jupiter in astrology is all about, it's actually like the teacher. It's like the original teacher, the guide, the person who, or like that entity. It could be like a religious entity, or just like overall like a spiritual entity who teaches through like higher knowledge or like higher wisdom. But Jupiter is also about optimism and expansion. So like you might have like a lot of friends here who really fill you up emotionally and who teach you things, and who help broaden your mindset. And when you have conversations with these people, like they leave you kind of like happier or in a better mood than before you had the conversation. And that sun energy is also going to create like, again, like this really solar warmth, career oriented energy. The sun is all about, as I mentioned, it's like a more solar masculine energy, but it's also like a career signifier, as I talked about earlier when we were talking about your second house. So it's like your career may be very centered around you embodying this Jupiterian energy of being like the teacher, the guide, like bestowing your like higher wisdom to like families and stuff like that. And it just might feel like a place where you're able to like expand your career, and like kind of experience ease in that area. Okay, what are your thoughts on all of that?
It's a lot. Um, But no, I think I think it's quite interesting because I'm one of those people I constantly am evaluating, reevaluating like my friendships and how just myself, how I can, be a better friend to people and things like that. But here,
Mhm.
in Las Vegas, I find it interesting that you said about like, the healers and things because the friends that I do have here, they are all people like they're massage therapists, dentists, fellow doulas, physical therapists, like chiropractors.
Yeah.
They're all people who orbit around my work, but who have also become, like who have become friends. So yeah, I find that very, very, that's interesting to me because I've never actually had a set of friends um outside of Las Vegas, like the set of friends that I have here.
Right.